Nice to see you, Amy. And our own Katie Sachi is here to unpack some of that story. And again, welcome back to Katie. But first, I'm very, very happy to say that Sheila joins us now via video, of course, to bring us up to date. So, Sheila, what's the latest news?
Well, the police very kindly sent a lorry to the garage and picked up the vehicle. They charged me a fee for recovering the vehicle and also a storage fee. Now, the problem for me was, of course, I didn't know if any work had been done to the vehicle and whether the vehicle was roadworthy and whether it could be driven. So I had to get a further recovery lorry, which I had to pay for, to bring it back home. When I opened the bonnet, there were pieces missing from the car and pieces just hanging in the air.
Now, how much of all of this cost you? It seems to be everywhere you turn, you're paying out money. What's the total amount to date?
Total amount to date is £2,750.
Well, you know, it's a tragic situation all round, and Katie's been looking into everything for us. So, Katie, how did you get on?
Well, if we deal first with the website that Sheila used, I asked the company how it vets mechanics and whether it could verify that Darren was legitimate. It said that mechanics are subject to checks on their ID and experience and that they have to sign up to a code of conduct. It said it was confident that his reviews were genuine because only paying customers can leave a review. I also asked whether any action had been taken against Darren, and the company said that his account was immediately suspended after we got in touch, pending his full response, and pointed out that it does have certain safeguards in place for users of the platform. For example, it will hold on to payments until a job has been completed. But it said that if customers like Sheila choose to arrange work directly with a mechanic, that circumvents the safeguards and it makes it more difficult for them to help if things go wrong.
We also spoke to Darren the mechanic, who strongly disputed much of what Sheila told us and said that at no point was she misled about the work required or the potential costs. Darren categorically denied ignoring Sheila's calls or messages and explained that in some instances he was waiting for updates from suppliers before responding. He insisted the car was always available for Sheila to collect because she had chosen not to proceed with the additional work needed to fix the issues that came to light after repairs had begun. And he claimed that the only point of contention was regarding who would pay for the car to be transported back to Sheila's home. However, we've seen proof that she had agreed to foot the bill. Darren told us that any faults discovered with the car after it was collected were pre-existing or arose due to the nature of the initial mechanical failure. When Sheila worried that her car might not be returned, she tried to make a claim with her insurer, Aviva, but it said she wasn't covered for theft or damage where possession of the vehicle had been gained by deception. And Amy isn't wholly surprised.
It is quite common for insurance policies to limit cover where the policyholder has voluntarily given access to their home or their vehicle or their personal information. And that's why cases like Sheila are often rejected.
Sheila, I hope that some of this is beginning to make better sense as to what actually has happened.
Yes, it does.
Good. Well, listen, we wish you all the best and do keep in touch with us, won't you? I'm going to let you go because obviously you've got lots of things to do and your lovely son to look after. Thank you very much indeed for joining us today. When we spoke to Sheila's insurer, Aviva, after her car had been returned, it said it has been in touch to offer support and pointed out that Sheila could claim for new locks and keys without incurring an excess or affecting her no claims bonus. Sheila had no idea that theft by deception was mentioned in her insurance policy. But when our team checked 10 motor policies from leading insurers, we found that the term was mentioned as an exclusion in 8 of them, as Katie has been investigating. So, Katie, what did you find out?
We got in touch to ask insurers to clarify what scenarios would all be covered. For example, handing your keys to a mechanic. Only 2 insurers actually clarified whether a scenario like Sheila's would be covered. So Admiral told us it would cover the loss of the vehicle, provided the police recorded the incident as theft and entered the vehicle onto the police national computer.
So Sheila reporting to the police was a really good idea.
Absolutely. And NFU Mutual said that if the owner had exercised reasonable steps to protect their property and would have believed the vehicle to be safe, it would look to give policyholders the benefit of the doubt where possible.
Now we come to reading your policy and understanding for yourself exactly what an insurance company will cover. So what are your tips there, Amy?
It can seem really tedious to have to read through your policy line by line and check all of these exclusions, but it's a really necessary step to understand what you're covered for and what you're not. But actually having exclusions helps to keep your premiums down, and it does encourage policyholders to take precautions, to take reasonable care to keep their property and their vehicle safe. The tricky thing is that definition of reasonable care, because it's somewhat open to interpretation. Different insurers have got different terms around that. So this is where paying attention to the detail of your policy, going through it line by line. You can do this over the phone with the insurance company, or you can sit after with a trusted friend or family member and keep pushing back on the insurer if there's something you don't understand.
But let's also go back to the mechanic. How do we know where and how to get a mechanic whom we can trust so that we don't end up like Sheena?
Now, lots of customers might think that they can save money by using a local independent tradesperson, a local garage. That may be true, but if your primary goal is to make sure that you've got your rights covered and you're fully protected and you're not going to invalidate your insurance, then the Motor Ombudsman has a garage search, and they may be a little bit more expensive than your local mechanic just down the road, but it may be worth it to get that stamp of approval from a recognised industry body.
And also to get your car back. Yeah. But thank you both very much indeed for the hard work you put into it and for all that advice. Thank you.
Now it's time for our advice clinic, where Amy Knight is back to help Dixon Xavier from London, who spotted some mystery transactions on his credit card. Hi, Dixon. Now, you've had a problem with your Virgin Money account, and you're going to tell us about it. Where did it all start?
It started in June of last year. I saw my paper statement. There was 4 transactions from Amazon. I don't have an Amazon account. And it accumulated to just under 180 odd pounds. And they decided to put a block on my card and the account.
To get his Virgin Money account unblocked, Dixon had to answer his security questions, but he got one of them wrong. Next, Virgin Money asked him to prove his identity by sending official documents initially by email and then through the post. But Dixon was concerned that sending precious personal data like this, as Virgin was requesting, wouldn't be secure.
They wanted certified copies of like my passport, photo ID, driving license, utility bill. They actually said, send it as an email. And I said, no, I'm not going to do that. I said it says an attachment.
Amy thinks Dixon's instincts are spot on. But if a bank does ask you to send it ID documents or other personal information, how should it be done?
It would normally be through an encrypted portal or possibly through the online banking app. If you're ever unsure whether the means that you've been asked to share ID documents is secure, then you can use the phone number on the back of your credit card and call the bank and ask them to verify whether that request for ID is genuine.
But needing to prove his identity is just the start of Dixon's problems. Virgin Money refunded the fraudulent Amazon transactions, but despite paying off everything he thought he owed, there was still a mysterious balance of £5.38. However, locked out of his account, Dixon couldn't find out what it was for. And now that small sum is having a big impact. Does it affect your credit record at all of this, what's going on?
Yes, because of the dispute, that £5.38 has now created a credit reference block, in the sense that it's a bad reference. And I'm now trying to get another credit card. They say, Virgin, you owe Virgin £5.38. Because of that outstanding payment, we're not going to give you a credit card.
There are ways that you can get that corrected, aren't there, Amy?
Yes, so there are 3 credit reference agencies in the UK, and you can ask them to correct your credit record where you've missed payments due to fraudulent activity on your account. So you've got Equifax, Experian and TransUnion, and you will need to speak to them all individually. Virgin Money can do it on your behalf, but they may not reach out to those agencies until the case is resolved.
Dixon, I feel that we've kind of put the ball back in your court again, but hopefully, do you think you might make progress with this?
I hope so. And then, Amy, thank you very much.
Well, I'm pleased to say that after we got in touch with Virgin Money, it made sure Dixon's credit file was corrected and confirmed the balance on his account, which he's since closed, was now zero. Virgin Money also explained that fraudsters had used Dixon's personal information to access his account and change the registered address. After he reported the matter, it refunded the fraudulent transactions and froze the account in order to protect it. Virgin Money said at the time the only way customers were able to submit documents proving their identity was through the post. But the firm has since introduced a more secure digital method.
Well, next it's question time. Well, at least it's the Rip-Off Britain's version of it. With our bulging mailbag all the time, we want to get expert eyes on as many of your problems as possible. And Amy, this one's for you. Angus Fletcher says that he's been receiving letters from a debt collection agency, which is very disturbing, for missed payments on a loan that he never ever took out. So he says he's been back and forth with the debt collectors and the loan company, but nobody can sort the whole thing out. Is there any help you can give him?
Absolutely. He can ask the loan company to prove that the debt is his. And however horrible it feels to be hounded for money like this, don't be tempted to pay. Stay firm. And it could be just an admin error, a mix-up. However, there could be something sinister going on, and Angus may have been the victim of identity theft, leaving him on the hook for the money. So he needs to watch really carefully any transactions on his bank accounts. If he uses mobile banking, then switch on transaction alerts so he gets that instant notification. Contact the bank or action fraud if there's anything suspicious.
And also, on that, can you protect yourself from identity theft in the first place like that?
There is something you can do. There's an organisation called CFAS. They are the Credit Industry Fraud Avoidance System. And they offer something called protected registration. And if you apply for this, it essentially puts extra checks in place when anybody applies for financial products using your details. There may be a charge for using that protected registration service from CFAS.
Gary, this one for you. Mary Dean bought a wallet from an online retailer for £90, but when it arrived, she didn't like it, so she returned it. The courier tracking says it's been received back, but the retailers say they don't have it and they won't issue a refund. What can she do?
Well, I'm very sorry to hear that, Mary. Now, if you buy things online, then you do have a right under the Consumer Rights Act to change your mind. You've got 14 days from when you receive the goods to let the retailer know you've changed your mind, and you don't have to give a reason. So in this case, yes, you should be getting a refund for that wallet if you've changed your mind about it. And that refund should be issued within 14 days. Now, there's an issue here about the retailer saying whether they've received it or not. In my view, if the courier is saying that they've delivered it, that is proof of receipt. So you can rely on that courier saying that they have delivered the goods back, and that is the trigger for the refund.
That's very good advice. Thank you both very much indeed. We've packed lots in today. If you need any reminders from how to get yourself a good mechanic to protecting your data on a website, get yourself on BBC iPlayer and catch up with this and all our other advice-packed episodes.
But I'm afraid for today, that's where we've got to leave it. Thank you very much indeed for your company. We've enjoyed having you here. And from all of us in Salford, it's bye-bye.
Goodbye.